Okay, hey guys. There were some really good talks to lead me in as well. I love the idea of not being constrained to a particular area, and I also love the idea of micro-interactions, and I love the fact that Dan Safa had lots of device design. So that's kind of a little bit what I'm here to talk to you guys about tonight, but it doesn't necessarily involve you designing some devices, but I'm going to try and talk to you a little bit about what the Internet of Things is and ubiquitous computing. Those are terms you may have heard, you might not know what they are. I also want to talk about why you should care as interaction designers. I want to show you some cool products to motivate you to be like, wow, yeah, that could be me, I could be that guy. I want to share some of my ideas for the future. I want to talk briefly about prototype platforms, and then I'm going to demo how this little electric imp works. So let's get started. So yeah, Internet of Cool Things. This is an old product. It's in a book called Ubiquitous User Experience Design, or Ubiquitous Computing User Experience Design. Really great. I have some slide notes at the end and I can share this, so if you're interested, find out about it. It's called a NASBAG tag. I can't pronounce it. That's probably a poor product name. So this was really early. I think it was like 2006, 2007, and you connected this to your computer via USB. And what happened was it would alert you if the weather changed. You could set up all these different alerts, and it could speak to you as well. So it could maybe tell you have mail. I haven't actually used one, but the thing I loved about it when I read it, I'm like, man, I want one of those. And I think they started reselling them, but they were expensive. And anyway, you can connect two of them together. And what happens is, if you move the ear on one, it moves the ear on the other. And I know that doesn't sound like really big and awesome, but I'm like, you know what, if I was a little bit away from my girlfriend or something, or we were working away for 3 months, it would be nice to have that on your desk and just be like, you know, someone else moved my rabbit's ear. I love it. Ubiquitous computing also so Internet of Things is like, it's connected to the internet. It also sort of is talking about like Nest, and we're going to get to that, but smart things. So like, it's so easy to put intelligence in devices these days, and so that's exciting. And it's not a fridge with a web browser. That kind of really didn't do the Internet of Things very much of a service. Why should you care? Well, I pulled this off the Interaction Design website. So supposedly, we do all this, and we create services from computers to mobile devices to appliances and beyond. And I'm kind of excited about this. It's a bit hard to get in from Australia, but it's a lot easier to get into digital stuff, which I do as well, you know, because you don't sort of need the cost. But it's getting easier to get into appliances and beyond. And I think now's the time to do it. Oh, and there's this. So this is another good reason. I pulled this off a Wired magazine article. So if we don't design them, the engineers are going to be left alone in the room to design it. And I'm allowed to say that because I am an engineer. So, okay, well, why should you care now? Well, so I have 4 pictures here. Raspberry Pi, some sensors, some cloud computing, and some actuators. And the reason you should care now is because this shit is cheap. It is amazingly cheap what you can do in the cloud these days, but more excitingly, it's amazingly cheap how much computing power you can get for $35 that will run a HDMI out. It's amazingly cheap how much this cost me to like connect things to the internet. And the sensors are cheap, and everything is cheap, and what that means is that things that were not sort of financially viable before are now financially viable. So there's a few products I'm going to show you, and I hope you'll see that like, you're like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I would pay like $100 for that, but you're not going to pay $1,000. And a few years ago, the same device, it might not cost $1,000, but it would have been a lot more expensive. So some cool products. I'm going to show you, go through some cool stuff. This just came out, iPhone 5S. Cool thing about this is Apple was like, you know what, we're going to put an M7 Motion co-processor in it, which basically means the accelerometer data is constantly on. It's being delivered in a way that's much easier for developers to use, and hence for us to use, and it doesn't drain the crap out of your battery. So it's so important these days, and this is a perfect example of the Internet of Things. Accelerometers are in everything. Before the Wii nunchuck things, they were really expensive. Like if you wanted to put them in stuff, it was like a lot of money.
Dude, what does it do?
Yeah, so it's just like, it's like Fitbit, you know, it monitors like as you go along.
Oh.
And like it's like, oh, you walked, or you did this, or you did that, but it keeps a record of it. And it used to use the CPU itself, so but now it doesn't. It's like separate and super low power.
I'm not ashamed to be stupid.
No. I'm sorry. If I no, it's not anything like that. I want questions at the end, and some things seem obvious when you're in the space a lot in your head. So this is an egg tray that I read online. It was like it's the first thing you want to own or something, and I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that, but it's kind of cool. So you can be at the grocery store and pull up your phone and see how many eggs you have in the fridge. And they're going to release this for real, so you can buy one if you're keen. The Fitbit, this is sort of like my classic example of like why I think like the Internet of Things is kind of cool and affordable now. $100, that seems reasonable, $98. If it was $300, probably wouldn't be so keen to buy one. And you can do all sorts of exciting data sort of analytics in the cloud and like, you know, link people up, and there's all sorts of great possibilities there. Nest, so we talked about Nest briefly. It's an awesome device. I think it even does really smart things, like it knows if you change the temperature based on the temperature outside, so it's like taking that into account based on the local weather patterns, like connected to the internet, find out that stuff. Improve people's lives and save energy, right? You're more comfortable and the environment's more comfortable. Total win-win. This is really exciting. I mean, there's lots of these different ones coming out, but Hue. A lot of this stuff has an API as well. Like a lot of these internet-enabled devices have APIs that you can, if you have an app and you're like, I have a reading app, and you know what? Wouldn't it be nice if the lights dimmed when the person was opening their read? Yes, the lights can dim, and it's really important because, you know, they do lots of research on lighting, and it really affects you. I remember when I studied industrial design, I did this whole course and they were talking about how hospital lighting actually makes a difference to patient recovery. Like it's that relevant. So this is a whole new world and it's accessible even if you're just developing an app. The Locktron, I love this because I'm a renter. You can retrofit it to your apartment and it lets you unlock your door on your phone. I was in Korea, they all have pin pads. I'm like, oh my god, we're so far behind. I included this because they're sort of cheap and they're at Dick Smith and Harvey Norman, so API again. You can just turn things on and off, and the sensors and monitors, and you know, you use it all on your phone. So if you want a light in the house and you don't want to get up to turn it off, just use your phone. If you're working in a commercial space, Telstra has a website with lots of information about like how you can connect things together. There's a company in Australia called Silicon Controls, you probably haven't heard of them. They make an awesome product called Gas Log, and what it does is, it goes on the top of those really giant gas tanks that restaurants have, so instead of having to fill them up when you have to assume they're empty because you have to assume the person's using the gas full time, you only fill them up when they actually need filling. It saves money for the customer, and it saves like environmental pollution. Trucks aren't just going out to fill up a full tank. Awesome solution there. And there's lots of cool stuff you can do with telematics if you're in that sort of industry. So Matthias was like, you got to bring this like a bit more local though, Cam, so that people feel like they could be part of the Internet of Things. So this was designed in Australia. I'm not sure if it's the best product ever, but it's cool that it was made here. It's a light made by Budweiser, and if you're a hockey fan, it goes off when your team scores. It just is in your room. It's like, whoa, my team just scored. It's made by Buzz Products, so they're a Melbourne company, not from Sydney. I don't really know anything more than that, and other than it was an Australian product, and I put it in. I was trying to bring an engineer tonight, actually, who I'm doing a course with, a Founders Institute course, who's working on something very similar to the leaves on the car that are for efficiency, but he has an idea that he's going to teach drivers how to drive more efficiently that's more than just like using leaves. And supposedly there's a lot more data that, I didn't know this, it comes out of the data port of the car, and it's standard data about like pollution and everything, and he's going to teach you, and he thinks he can get savings of up to 30 cents per litre. So that's like significant, and he has some patents on it. I was hoping to get him to talk to you guys so we can get the designers involved with the engineers.
Do a video.
I just including this, if you are more interested, I'll share the slides, and this is a great overview of companies that are in space. It was made by TechCrunch, I think. There's a link. You can look at it later, but there's lots going on here, and it's really useful if you're thinking about something. It has like, to find out more things. Anyway, electric Kim. Okay, so we're on to development tools. I'm going to demo this at the end. It's $30, really small form factor. You can retrofit it to products, so you can be like, I don't actually want my product to always be internet enabled, but it would be cool if people wanted to maybe pay more money or something. I love the fact that it's just a little SD card and you slide it in. Great prototyping kit. It's less than $100. I bought this from Little Bird, I emailed the guy to get a code for us so that we can get discounts. If you guys are motivated enough at the end to be like, yes, electronics. Or if you have kids, you should buy them electronics. It's cool. Hack Me. So this is like Ninja Locks. I think they came out of Atlassian, and they're kind of cool. And if you were wanting to prototype something that involved mostly the sensors they already have, I definitely would say this is pretty good prototyping platform. I've got one at home. I haven't used it as much as I should have yet. I bought it off a friend. Another thing that's really cool, Raspberry Pi, $35. You can get a little Pi-based add-on to that has some relays and loads of sensor inputs. This also has sensor inputs. This is a Core M3 Cortex thing, which is just ridiculously powerful for the price, like $30. It's just ridiculous. And I tried to connect things before with the Arduino, which you can do as well, but it's a lot less elegant than with something like this, and this is a lot more production ready, in my opinion. Oh, geez, demo, okay. So, let me go here. I'm going to show you how you connect this to the internet. Because I built a product before, and the only way I was using like Ethernet, because I'm like, it's just too hard to have my users, you know, I don't know, like put this in the computer. Anyway, these guys have a great solution for it. And if I can unlock this, sorry, just one sec. I'm going to see if I can. Oh, I'm in an email now, that's probably personal. Is it down or up?
Oh, this is yours, isn't it? Yeah.
AirPlay. Cameron's MacBook Pro. Mirroring on. Hey, look, there we go. So, the cool thing about this is it's got a little device. The password's hidden, but basically, there's a little app, and they give you you can get the app from them if you want to embed it in your own product. And it uses the phone, and it's like, well, you can have the network in your phone, and so it lets you select the network, enter the password, and then what you do is you just you press the send link up. No one has when you can't look at flashing lights. What's that called?
Epilepsy.
Does anyone have epilepsy?
Me, but I don't have light-sensitive epilepsy, so we're good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, no, I'm not joking. So, and what it does is, I think this is really clever. It just flashes. It just flashes the Wi-Fi details to the card. There's a little light sensor in it, and anyway, awesome.
That's cool.
That's cool, right? That is a really elegant way to get the Wi-Fi details onto a card, and not only that, it's a really elegant way for you to add this to whatever product you want. And then just really briefly, I'm going to show you something else. Really briefly, IDE. So. They have an online IDE. I know you guys aren't coders, but I just want to show you how easy something is. And maybe some of you are coders, so you can tell the coders that it looks easy. I've done this very simple proof of concept, so it's probably harder to do awesome things, but look at this. This is my code that I copied and pasted, and I have a 1 second blink on at the moment. Change that to 5. Get this out of the way, and then I'm going to check this. Does it look good? Oh, it looks good. Build and run. Success!
Whoosh!
How easy was that? And there is a USB cord here, but I assure you it is only providing power to the device. It is not. That was just all on the internet. We connected to Kat's phone. Magic. And it's $30 this thing, so cheap. I mean, not the dev board. The actual little SD card is $30. It's only about $70 a watt. But so if you want to put that in a product, that's really great. And they've taken care of a lot of problems, I think, in you feeling confident to get your device on the internet. So okay, so my idea. So this is sort of my vision. This is my apartment, and there's a blind in it, and I'm just like, I don't own it, but if I did, and I was rolling the money, then I would be Internet of Things-ing everything. I would love it if the blind was just a bit smart, if it knew that I was in the house, or I wasn't in the house, if it was in sync with the air conditioning and knew if I wanted it to be if it was summer, it knows it's summer, and it's like, well, Cam left the house, he was a bit silly, he left the blinds up, it's going to heat the house up a lot. I'm going to close the blinds. It knows when I'm coming home, so it opens the blinds back up because I would like some light, but it turns the air conditioning on to keep it nice and cool. And I'm sitting on my couch in my house, and I'm reading my book with my favorite reader app, and it's adjusted the light to the perfect level. You know what I mean? And then I get up, and it knows that me getting up means something at a particular time, and it just like turns the toaster on or makes the coffee for me. Oh my God, the possibilities are endless. You guys should be excited, and you should feel that you can get into this. You know, the Arduino. I know at the UX conference there was like talks and presentations on how easy it is to prototype physical devices with Arduinos. Don't be scared of this. The Internet of Things is like tubular steel back in the 30s. If you study design Bauhaus, some of the cool stuff they came up with that is like classic today is all about the fact that they were there at the time that it was being invented. And I feel like we are at the moment, at the right time when the price and the cost of everything is where it's being invented. So yeah, that's pretty much my talk, and I'm willing to take questions. And there's some links here. There's a great book. I would recommend it. The UX Book Club is reading it, so join. That's the Making Sense of the Internet of Things TechCrunch. And Little Bird, I emailed the dude, and if you use that code, you get 8% off. So I think that's everything. So, and he's pretty nice. I mean, I'm not getting anything out of this personally. That's who I use. So, oh, and Atlassian, thank you so much for hosting us. I come here all the time. I actually use Bitbucket a lot at the moment for my startup. It's free, like private repositories, which GitHub doesn't do. So if you're on GitHub, you know them. Go to Bitbucket. I like it, and even if you're a designer, you know, like having a trail of your commits or your different code versions is really handy. And learn Git, it's awesome. Yeah, questions?
Yeah.
Any? No? Go.
I do. Okay, we talked a little bit about this before, but the product life cycle on mobile phones is so short. So you're changing your phone once every 12 months.
Yep.
And changing things like, you know, your house or your fridge or all that other sort of stuff. The product life cycle on that is so much longer that I reckon that the technology is going to get out of whack pretty quickly of what they're capable. I asked I asked the Huawei guy about it at an M-Enabling conference, and he said to me, everything's going to be done in the cloud, and that was his solution for it. But what do you reckon?
So it's sort of valid in a way. I mean, I think that something like this is great because if wireless standards change, you could like pop out the smarts of it. And I think that the core of like the Internet of Things in some ways is the sensors. And the great thing about the sensors is they're using a really well-designed system called the Standards International Unit System, and they're reporting all their data, you know, just in like very physical dimensions, you know, newtons per meter or the, you know, degrees per Celsius difference. So I think that like as long as the sensors are the same and you have the ability to maybe change whatever the smarts are, it's not necessarily going to be an issue, and the phones will have like software updated, but that is a bit of a problem. I know Staples, actually today I read, Staples are releasing a device that's trying to bring a few of these different smart technologies together so it's accessible in one place, because maybe that's what hasn't happened very well at the moment. I think they are working on standards as well for the Internet of Things. So it's probably going to be a bit, because it's new though, it's going to be a bit like Internet Explorer when it was crappy and, you know, non-standards compliant at first, because there's just not enough of it out there, and there's not enough demand from developers and designers, I guess, to agree on a standard, which is disappointing, but, you know, break a few eggs. But yeah, I think in general that as long as the sensor data is being reported correctly, you'll still be able to access that. And if you do smart, if the mechanical engineers and industrial designers are smart, and they make the sort of smart bits replaceable, so you're not replacing the fridge, maybe, you know, like you might be able to, with the fridge example, maybe it's not just the electric ink that you change, but there's like other bits or panels that you could leave, you know, maybe in the future we'll need this. So that's one way. Yeah, sure.
Oh, it was a comment actually. It seems a lot of people are getting into like apps, but electronics that might go take out your fridge light, plug in this, and actually detects if the fridge door's been left open and will warn you via mobile device.
Yeah.
But they're all like really small, and thousands of them is what seems to be predicted.
Yeah. So like that comes back to the more holistic approach, and that's why we need to be involved as well as interaction designers, right? Or they're going to muppet it up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, leading off the previous question, do you believe that manufacturers' ecosystems, which are becoming more and more prominent these days, the Apple ecosystem where everything talks to each other and works across each other, has its own cloud, all that sort of stuff, Samsung and all their version of, Apple tech and stuff like that, they have their own cloud as well. Microsoft, once again, cloud, all the devices, they talk to each other, but they talk to each other within their own ecosystem and not outside of it. Do you think that's the kind of the next format war, maybe in the Internet of Things realm?
Yeah, like it's definitely possible that there will be a format war, which is kind of disappointing for the consumers. But at the same time, I think the underlying technology is wireless and it is like standard, physical parameters that are already really well defined. So I don't know. I couldn't predict the future on that, but it's interesting. If you get involved, you can make sure that.
Can I quote the past?
Sure.
Along came Apple, Mac, really fantastic. Come on with a PC, really cheap. Number of PCs compared to the number of Macs.
Yeah, well, like price is an issue, but obviously it's not the only issue. So I don't know how any of that is going to play out. My goal tonight was really just to try and inspire you guys anyway. That like stuff is accessible. It's not, and you should be thinking about it.
What do you think about 3D printers?
Oh yeah, okay. I actually know a little bit about this. I love 3D printing. And that's another reason you can make cheaper devices, right? It's all getting open source and plug it together. Lake Macquarie Library has a 3D printer, so if you're interested, all the libraries are really keen to start to become makerspaces. I only know this because I talked to libraries, which is maybe a bit bizarre, but for a product I was making, I was talking to them and they're telling me about like the things they're doing, and I'm like, oh okay, doing some user research, and yeah, they're all getting into 3D printing and potentially being makerspaces. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, I think 3D printing is going to explode as well. I mean, it's on the same trajectory as Internet of Things supposedly. And that's really accessible as well. Like, CAD software is so much better than it was when I was doing it like 10 years ago, and it doesn't cost $5,000 a license anymore. You can download free stuff online.
Cool.
Anything else? I think that's it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks so much.